Tom, how are you doing the Week 9 power rankings when the week isn't over yet? Well, the Patriots, even if they blow out the Jets, are not going to make this list. And the Jets, you know. Grossi Posse Packer Nation. Welcome to another episode of Packcast, the podcast where you don't have to be a Packers fan, but it sure does help. I'm your host, Tom. Watching Tom Brady get annihilated on Sunday Night Football gave me great joy. Yes, I know that the Buccaneers beat the Packers, but we beat the Saints, Grossi. And today we're going to be looking ahead at the NFL Week 10 Power Rankings. Before we get to that, I want to do a big shout and thank you to some brand new patrons and YouTube members. First, over on the Patreon side of things, we got Jacob Carlson. We have Vikings are better than the Packers at losing. And we got Travis G. A big shout out and thank you to you all. Over on the YouTube side of things, we have Nash Gibbons, Too Easy 808, and Sean Richardson. A big shout out and thank you to you all. Now, Week 9 was a really weird week. So much so that if the Jets wind up winning tonight, I won't even be surprised. No, I will. They're garbage. But a lot of these teams in the top spots, they barely snuck away with a win, and against pretty terrible teams. Looking at you, Chiefs and Steelers. So it's hard to try and rank these teams because you have teams like the Buccaneers getting absolutely demolished. You have the Dolphins winning. You have the Seahawks getting blown out by the Bills. What is going on? I don't know, but the Packers benefit from it. Number 10. Yep, it's 2020. The Miami Dolphins. Yeah. Trust me, I know. I wasn't anticipating putting them on here. Ever. But the Miami Dolphins, I gotta say, have kind of snuck under the radar a little bit. They've gone undetected and have quietly put together a pretty darn good season. Now, obviously, they lost to top teams like the Bills and the Seahawks, but these past few weeks, oh, baby, things are a-groovin' for the Dolphins. Now, obviously, the Dolphins made news a few weeks ago when they took Ryan Fitzpatrick out in the back and told him to think of the rabbits. Think of the rabbits, Lenny. And promptly stabbed him in the heart. And Tua Tagovailoa Ticonderoga got the start. Now, last week against the Rams, he was okay. He was all right. Nothing crazy. But they got a big W. I was surprised. I was like, I'm intrigued. And now heading into this game against the Cardinals, I was like, okay, this is where the magic stops. And nay. They're just Cinderellaing it all over this thing. Tua played real well, and on top of that, their special teams made plays, their defense made plays. Did you know that the Dolphins are ranked 4th in points allowed this season? I didn't know that. And while I'm not ready to go on a whole new world magic carpet ride with the Dolphins, I have to give them credit, but they have beaten decent teams who have been on this list. And so, you know what? Even if it's just for a week, enjoy your fun in the sun, you aquatic mammals. Then number 9, you got the Tennessee Titans. This was a tough one. I was going to rank them a little bit higher, but I really still don't have a ton of faith in them. Now, here's what I'll say. The Titans were definitely going to make the top 10 regardless because they beat the Chicago Bears. And for that, I'm eternally grateful. And they shut out the Bears for 3 quarters. Or, the Bears shut themselves out because their offense is just bad. It was a nice day for A.J. Brown. Ryan Tannehill did pretty well. Derrick Henry had a pretty good day. But that loss to the Bengals is still sour in my mouth. And they've struggled against some other teams. It really doesn't give me a ton of optimism with the Titans, but they do enough to stay in the top 10. They took down the Bears. Thank you for that. And I'm sure that they're going to run all over the Packers when they play them later this season. So if you're upset about this, just know you'll have your revenge. Number 8, you got the Seattle Seahawks. And the reason I have the Seahawks ranked higher than the Titans is because I just believe in their offense a lot more than the Titans' offense. And that explosive offense was curtailed by Russell Wilson's and his several interceptions yesterday. They also had a non-existent run game, and that defense continued to be hot garbage. I would say it was exposed in the Cardinals game, but we all know it was exposed way before then. And good God, it did not look really good against the Bills here. They have one of the most potent offenses and passing games in the entire league. However, they need to play just about perfect football because their defense is just like, oh, you want to go in the end zone? Okay. No, after you, go ahead. And so that defense really does not inspire any confidence. However, the one thing I will say is that honestly, out of all the teams that are on this list, there are a few defenses that do inspire a lot of confidence. And so I think that the Seahawks are still Super Bowl contenders. I still think that they are favorites in the NFC. But that being said, yeah, that defense is bad. Number 7, you got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Oh, baby, did you get smacked around? And now I can't say a whole lot because we got smacked around by the Buccaneers, but we beat the Saints. So I could boast a little. This was a massacre of epic proportions. I gave the Buccaneers a pass last week because they struggled against the Giants, and I was like, maybe that's just a fluke. And now I'm starting to wonder, oh, maybe it wasn't. And the thing that surprised me the most was actually not necessarily the offense, because we've seen them struggle out of the gate before. They get off to a slow start, what have you. That didn't surprise me. What surprised me was how terrible the defense was. This was a defense that I looked at, I was like, oh, okay, they're one of the best in the NFC, and they completely crumbled and fell apart. Drew Brees and Taysom Hill did whatever they wanted to that defense and just moved the ball with ease on them. Then throw on top of that the Saints defense looked Super Bowl contender-like against that Buccaneers offense who could not get anything going. So now the question becomes, okay, it was a divisional game. Is this just another fluke? Is this the start of a pattern? I hope so. Number 6, you got the New Orleans Saints. They've won 5 straight games now. They're starting to get healthy, and if they are playing like they did last night, watch out, rest of the NFC, because you're not going to have a chance in hell. The offense was unstoppable. The defense played incredibly well, making Tom Brady's life absolutely miserable. And right now, the Saints are like, oh, hey guys, did you miss me? Because we're back. Michael Thomas returned, but didn't really play a huge role in the game. They had a nice running attack with Kamara, and Latavius Murray was getting some carries as well, was that big bruiser when they needed it. And Taysom Hill, man, he took over that game at some points. I'll be curious if the Saints could do this against other opponents that are not their divisional rivals, but right now, the Saints are trending upwards. Number 5. You got the Green Bay Packers, and that's only because we beat the Saints. It's the only reason why. They took care of business on Thursday Night Football, demolishing the San Francisco 49ers, and they should have. That's exactly what should have happened. The defense played well, but again, you're going against Nick Mullins and a team of backups because that team has been decimated by injury. And what's better is that the Packers are finally starting to get healthy. Christian Kirksey and Alan Lazard look to be pulled off IR this week, so they'll be ready for the Jaguars. I imagine the Jaguars should be an easy game for them because there's some games that are coming up that are going to be challenging. In a few weeks, we have the Bears on Sunday Night Football, which hopefully we will demolish. We have the Colts coming up in a couple of weeks. And so this is really going to be the part where, okay, are the Green Bay Packers an elite football team? They've proven that they can be at times. The question is, when they start playing against really, really good teams, what's going to happen? Is it going to be like what happened with the Saints or with the Buccaneers? Number 4, you got the Buffalo Bills. Oh, man. Oh, man. And this game, let's just be honest here. If you watch this game, you know that score was not as close as it seemed. The Bills were in firm control the entire game. They shut down the run game. They made Wilson make a bunch of mistakes. And Josh Allen had over 400 yards, multiple TDs. And while their run game wasn't like terribly effective, they honestly didn't need it. This is the potent offense that the Bills fans were waiting for. It was a shutdown defense for the majority of the game. And yeah, the Bills are right back at it looking like contenders. Number 3, you got the Baltimore Ravens. Their defense pitched a shutout in the second half, shutting out Phillip Rivers. Rivers had a little bit of a tough day. He wasn't great. And this is a team that I struggle with so much. They got the win, and they were able to beat a relatively good team. Unlike the Chiefs and the Steelers, who won their games, but did not look impressive in any way, shape, or form. Lamar Jackson, man, needs help. And that passing game is anemic right now. And I don't know if Dez Bryant is going to solve that problem. They were able to get away with the win against the Colts. They looked like a good football team. Lamar Jackson had a nice day. But my concerns are still there. That I don't know what's going to happen to the Ravens when they play really good football teams. But that being said, Honestly, after seeing a lot of performances this week, I feel like the NFL is wide open. Number 2, you got the Pittsburgh Steelers. And you know what? I'm being nice to you. There's an argument that you shouldn't be number 2. Because boy, oh boy, you made the Cowboys look like a competent football team, and that's difficult to do. You made their defense look pretty good. That's real difficult to do. Some questionable penalties aside, the Steelers also had very little run game whatsoever. Their defense held when it needed to, but yeah, the Cowboys almost beat you. Shame. There was an injury scare for Ben, who was able to come back in the game and still be successful, but they were literally shut out in the first and third quarter by the Cowboys. I don't know if you want to just say this is a trap game and it's just, okay, it was 1 week, but at the same time, I think that there are weaknesses with the Pittsburgh Steelers. But as I've been saying this week, I think you can point out weaknesses for just about every single team on this list. And the Steelers, they're the only undefeated team left in the NFL, so you got to give them props for that. The question is, how long is it going to last? And then finally, number 1, the Kansas City Chiefs. If the Steelers blew out the Cowboys like they were supposed to, the Steelers would have taken the number 1 spot, but they didn't. So the Chiefs, you get to keep it. A really, really close game with the Panthers came down to like a 67-yard field goal, which had the distance, but just was not on target. Mahomes, 372 yards and 4 touchdowns. They were another one who didn't have a running game established at all against the Panthers, which again, kudos to them. And their defense really wasn't a factor because they couldn't get anything done. Christian McCaffrey was able to come back and he torched the Kansas City Chiefs. And on top of that, looks like his shoulder injury. So thanks, Chiefs. I finally get him back for a fantasy game and you just rip him from me. I'm going to put you at number 6. The Chiefs are still a really, really good football team. I still think they are absolutely Super Bowl contenders. Maybe this was just the fact that they just caught the Panthers when they were looking really, really good this week. The Panthers haven't been as bad as I thought they would have this season, but I think it shows that there's definitely some improvement to be done with the Kansas City Chiefs. But let me know what you think down in the comments below after this crazy week. This is probably the toughest rankings I had to come up with so far this season because there's just such a lot of fluctuation. A lot of teams did not look great that were in the top 10. Hell, the Dolphins are on here, so I honestly have no idea what the hell is going on. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. You can always find me at TomGrossiComedy.com or at TomGrossiComedy, all social media, see down below. Check out podcasts on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, Spotify, and of course, YouTube. And a big shout and thank you to all the patrons over at patreon.com/TomGrossiComedy and the YouTube members. But thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. And as always, go Pack Go.